Hellhounds. What are they? Why do we see them? Who sees them? Hi, I'm Cher, the Shadow Walker, and today we're going to look into the Hellhounds of Canada. So let's start in Newfoundland. There have been reports of a Newfoundland dog, that is headless, wandering the roads. There have been no written reports, but for a long time now, people have talked about this headless dog wandering down the road. They say that it was helping its master with a seal hunt and it got caught between the shifting ice and it was decapitated. And now it roams the road looking for its master. In Prince Edward Island, in the Goose River region, there are numerous reports of a large creature, larger than a wolf, wolf-like, shimmering, translucent black coat with red glowing eyes and yellow glowing eyes. Both have been seen at the edge of forests and on the roadway. This area is famous for buried treasures that were left years ago and is 5 minutes from the Cabot Strait. In Nova Scotia, there have been numerous reports near Shipwreck Cove or Meats Cove of hellhounds with yellow glowing eyes or amber glowing eyes, shimmering, black, too large to be a wolf, hard to describe, noted as a creature. They've also been noted in the Kejimkujik area. Now, I lived out that way near Keji, 20 minutes from it, for years, and I had a large stump that was about 3 feet. It was an old maple tree, about 250 years old. It was about 800 feet from an area we had fenced in for our dogs, and there sat a black wolf-like creature on all fours with blue eyes. I was standing on my deck. I didn't feel threatened. My two big dogs did not feel threatened. And we kind of locked eyes, and it stayed for 20 minutes, and I could feel it just saying, I'm not here to harm you. It was a very peaceful experience, and I had no fear. I was used to wildlife, but this was unusually large, and I knew there was no wolves in the area of that size. We had koi, we had coyotes, we had cougars, bobcats, bears, lynx, weasels, but nothing like this. And it vanished from that spot without ever standing up. When we look into New Brunswick, near Miramichi or Miramichi on Highway 116, there have been numerous reports of a large black wolf-like creature standing on all fours at the edge of the forest, on the sides of the highway, or crossing the highway with either red or amber eyes. That particular area is very dark at night, and it's quite common to see a bull moose cross. There's a lot of accidents that happen there because of that. I've driven that area many times, that highway. On the other side of New Brunswick, towards the border with the United States, there's more dogman sightings noted. Now, on the Miramichi side, they have some dogman, some Bigfoot, but they definitely have hellhound sightings as well. That area was an area of a lot of massacres that occurred. Um, a lot of British scalped the Mi'kmaq people because there was a bounty on them. So there was a lot of bloodshed. And where they were put into camps, there was a lot of smallpox and typhoid that hit. So a lot of people lost their lives in those areas. This may have something to do with the hellhounds being seen. And the rock from all those provinces that we've just spoke about, the tectonic plate and the energies that the different types of minerals that are in the ground, those rocks are holding, um, and the horrific storms that pass through the area, all that gives energy. And we can have things cross from other dimensions into this dimension. In Quebec, in the Gaspé region, we have the beautiful limestone Percé rock. And if you've never been down to Percé, it is an absolutely breathtaking scene. And it's beautiful to go out on a boat to Bonaventure Island. In that area, there have been numerous sightings of hellhounds, and the Chick-Chock Mountains are there. And if you get near Barshwe or Barishwa, depending on how you want to pronounce it, they're just at the base of the mountains. My family grew up there, and I have heard stories from World War II when the Germans would come up to put their flag on the shore, and the soldiers that were protecting the shore would see hellhound with amber glowing eyes, warning them prior. Many of them would see them at the edge of the forest when they went to go hunting, and generally there would be a large bear at that time. It wasn't uncommon when the peninsula froze for the odd polar bear to come across, and sometimes that was thought of to be a monster at that time. During the war, I remember hearing a story from my mom. She said this had occurred during the war for her, that they had to black out the area, so they used these big blackout curtains. Couldn't have any lights on at night. And it was basically radio silence because they only had radios back then. And she said she remembers peeking out the back window, which faced the mountains, and seeing a large wolf like creature with red glowing eyes standing at the edge of the forest. She wasn't afraid of it, but she knew that nothing else looked like that in that area. When we get into Ontario and we get into the Great Lakes, in the Niagara region, there were numerous reports in the 2016. I could find them a little further back than that, right up to present, where the police were called, where 911 was called, where SPCA was called for a large wolf-like creature in the backyard of homes that had 6 to 8 foot fences. And by the time the police got there or the animal control got there, it had disappeared and left no tracks, no fur on the fence, no trace of anything. One woman was walking home at night down the road in Niagara Falls area, and she felt like she was being followed, and she saw this large wolf-like creature following her with amber eyes, and she ran and she called for help. She called 911, and there was no tracks. They couldn't trace it, and they deemed them as apparitions. So that was Lake Ontario. That's heavy in salt, and it has some very old glacier rocks down there. A lot of limestone. Lake Erie, there have been numerous reports of ships crossing during storms, and the people aboard the ship witnessing an apparition of a wolf like dog standing on the deck with amber glowing eyes. On the shorelines of Lake Erie, there have been hellhounds sighted with red glowing eyes. So, my theory, in my opinion, on Lake Erie, the amber glowing eyes of a hellhound were helping to guide or to protect the people on the boat, the sailors on the boat. And the red glowing eyes hellhounds are the ones that are taking the souls that are lost. There's been a lot of talk in that area of alleged organized crime disposing of people in Lake Erie. I lived in that area, and that was one of the areas that I would not swim was Lake Erie. When I lived in that area, I saw a hellhound with red eyes. So it was in the backyard. It shouldn't have been able to get in, and I had two very big dogs there at that house at that time as well. And I wasn't the only one in the house that seen it. That was out the patio doors of our house. As you get further north along the highways, like Highway 11, the corridor out of the province, you have tons of sightings of hellhounds on the side of the road, at the edge of the forest, amber glowing eyes, and sometimes red. And in cemeteries and in forts in Ontario, you get reports of hellhounds guarding the cemeteries with amber glowing eyes, sometimes standing over a grave with red glowing eyes. Protecting that soul or taking that soul on its journey to the plane, the energy plane that it is to go to next. As you get to Manitoba, there are numerous sightings. In fact, there's a school in Manitoba that called the White Mouth School. In Manitoba, there is a school called the White Mouth School near the Seven Sisters Falls. There are reports of a massive black dog being described as larger than a timber wolf seen near the school grounds. And it's also seen moving towards the Seven Sisters Cemetery with amber glowing eyes. Authorities have tracked dogs in Manitoba, creatures of this nature, and they said that they were able to evade traps, had no fear of the police or humans that were tracking them, and vanished. There is a special number in Manitoba that you can call if you see a creature like this. They don't know what it is. They call it the phantom black dog. And you see reports of it as far as Turtle Mountain. Now, the Canadian Shield runs along there, so you're getting the energy from the rocks. And it's rich in minerals in a lot of areas where there was gold. And a lot of bloodshed in those areas as well. So you're bound to have a lot of psychic energy. And from storms, you get even more energy into the rocks. And so seeing things from other parallels is not uncommon. When we get to Saskatchewan, there have been numerous sightings of them under a bridge, near a bridge. And when the police got there was no tracks. They said it was a menacing predator, also seen in fields and in backyards. Sometimes more than one hellhound was seen. In Alberta, in the Drumheller region, where the hoodoos are. So the hoodoos they're like little mini mountains. They're formations primarily of sand. A lot of times they were mined for coal. But there's a lot of sightings of an unusually large creature, larger than a wolf, larger than a gray wolf, with yellow glowing eyes, seen on the trails that people hike around this area. Um, Over by the museum, they're seen. We have the dinosaur museum here, and there's a lot of fossils in this area. Over towards the mountains, the Rocky Mountains, they are seen. They've been seen on the trails. They've been seen down by Crow's Nest Pass with amber glowing eyes on the trails. People have reported them in the Banff region on the trails hiking. Um, no reports of anybody being attacked by anything, just seeing them. Amber glowing eyes, larger than a wolf, and the people state it's on all fours, not like anybody that states a dog man will be bipedal. These are on all fours with the amber glowing eyes or the red glowing eyes. Now, only 1%, like I had down my encounter in Nova Scotia, have blue eyes. I am from the Mi'kmaq. Grand Chief Member 2 was my ancestral grandfather. And I am Métis, so I have Member Two's psychic abilities. And I believe that's why I was fortunate enough to see a guardian with blue eyes. In BC, all through BC, they've been seen. In the mountains, in a lot of the same regions that we find the Bigfoot, the dog man, you'll find hellhounds. They are distinguishable by their size and the fact that they are on all fours. And generally, people see them with the amber glowing eyes. Some see them with red, and that's usually around a cemetery or an area of an ancient burial that even could be out in the wilderness. A lot of people died centuries ago out there, and those are areas where you're going to find them. In the Northwest, in Churchill area, they've been seen. So when you get far up north, they've seen numerous sightings. A lot of areas up there where there was gold mining and diamond mining, there was a lot of violence. A lot of people lost their lives over precious stones, minerals. There was a lot of mining and there was cave-ins. People lost their lives that way. And so they're generally seen with yellow glowing eyes and red glowing eyes. Now, when you look back, they've been seen throughout history from 4000 BC. And as you go through history, they come in different names: Anubis, the black dog. When you get over into England and France area, it was noted that when they built a church, they would chain a dog where they were putting the foundation and they would bury that dog alive, saying that it would ensure that the devil could not come up through the church. Now, in different areas over there have been reports of these hellhounds inside the church appearing with the door locked during violent storms, walking down the aisle, snarling, and you could hear the chain with red eyes. Now, in my opinion, it's no wonder if you're going to do such a horrific thing as use an animal for a sacrifice, you're bound to have it come back angry. In many rituals that are performed around the world through different cults, churches that sacrifice humans, that sacrifice children, that bloodlet, these areas, they're going to see a lot of red eyed hellhounds. That's not for those that have passed over, but for those that are creating this Passover unexpectedly of another person. Hellhounds do come for those who commit evil, and they do take them to a darker energy plane. Disregard for human life or for an animal that for your own profits here will lead to something else in the afterlife. So there's three different types of hellhounds. There's yellow-eyed ones, and they can be broken up into several different subcategories, if you will. They can be healers throughout history. When somebody's been really ill, there have been apparitions of a hellhound sitting near that person. Or they could be with that person during the time of death to usher their soul to the resting place for them. Or they're there to warn if there's something bad going to occur, like at the edge of a forest or a roadway. Then you'll see red-eyed ones. Now, red-eyed ones you can categorize in different ways too. You can see them at the edge of a cemetery, preventing souls from crossing back out of that plane and becoming earthbound. You can see them taking souls. So, evil people, they come for and take them. Not like Hollywood where they drag them away, basically like where they just walk beside them. The red ones can also guard treasure, so they're like the highest ranking. The yellow ones are the ones that are kinder, that can be there for you, whether you're alive or dead, to guide, to help heal, or to protect, or to warn. And the blue ones, only 1% of people see them. And from my experience with them, was good. There was no fear. It was rather calming and rather pleasant.